They are these patterns that we have that maybe come from a learning experience. Maybe it was something that we saw on television. Hello, welcome to Maximum Human Performance. I'm your host, Human Performance Expert Brad Vaillancourt. Thanks so much for joining today. Today we're going to talk about belief systems and patterns. What are belief systems? They are these patterns that we have that maybe come from a learning experience. Maybe it comes from something that we were told by parents, by maybe it was somebody that we trusted, like a teacher back in the day. Maybe it was something that we saw on television, right? It can come from anywhere. It can even come from our own genetic code. So what do we do about those? Well, since we all have them, we want to make sure that we weed out all the crappy ones, all the ones that negate where we want to go in life. So, for instance, when it comes to, let's say that every time that you start to develop a little bit of stress, that you close down. Maybe you closing down is your way of being able to focus, and that's fine. However, if you shutting down is your way of basically shutting out the world because of anything else that's negative, like maybe you're afraid of hearing other people and what they have to say, or you're afraid of being sidetracked because other people are coming towards you, then we got to do something about that. We don't need to hold on to that. We can let go of it. And as chiropractor and Yuen method founder Dr. Cam Yuen, who is a world champion Kung Fu artist, his philosophy is we take those patterns, we neutralize the effects, we delete those down to 0.00% plus infinity. Basically all the way down, every little root gone. That's an excellent way to immediately get some results for yourself. Not only have I been using Dr. Yuen's method for my own people, I've even used it on my own family, and wow, what great results. I mean, amazing. I had Dr. Yuen himself work on some of my people, including my own family and myself, and I tell you, amazing, just amazing stuff. It was incredible. I have to say, I miss him. He just passed away in the summer of 2023, and I miss him already. Dr. Yuen has done so much good for humanity over the years. His legacy should be carried on for good. Now, maybe as a high achiever, you're like Ken. Ken was raised in a very strict household to a point where anytime that you come up against an authority figure, you completely submit. You submit so that you can be exactly who you need to be for them, and they can help control you. The problem is, now that he has his own company, he's struggling. He's struggling not only with people of authority, but he's struggling to be an authoritative figure because he just doesn't know where to be. He doesn't know whether to completely submit or to completely dominate. And when his people are looking up to him, they just get confused. He gets confused. And when he's talking to clients or clients-to-be, he has a hell of a time closing sales because he just doesn't know what to do on the inside and on the outside. Now, here's what we did. We figured out the root cause of that, which was the belief system that I mentioned. By neutralizing the effects, this helped him to not only feel a lot more confident within himself, but also to stop automatically submitting just because somebody happened to be, somebody of authority or somebody who is a client to be, which confused him as to whether they were an authority or not. Just by changing that, he doubled his revenue. Doubled! Not only did he double his revenue, his revolving door of employees that came in and out every 6 months stopped. People were staying for years. On top of that, they were coming to him because they trusted him, and he learned to trust them more so that he could delegate more. By delegating more, they were making more money, he was able to do more, and he could make more money in the process, while working far less than he was, which was work. The only playtime he had, he was freaking out. His pattern was to work, because when you're not working, you're panicking because you're not making money because you're not working. He got past that belief system. And by getting past that, he allowed himself to grow, and his company just kept going up, up, up. Really awesome. And if you think that didn't bleed into his personal life, he went through partners like crazy because there was no trust there. How could you trust somebody when you're always looking to either win or lose, right? You're either being the submitter or you're being the dominant person, and it's happening all the time. There's no give and take that you need in a regular relationship. Maybe you're an athlete like Dylan, a super high level athlete, won all kinds of accolades. Dylan was a hard worker. I mean, really hard worker. He came back from an injury that not only was he not supposed to be able to play again, but walking would have been difficult for him. His knee was hanging by just a literal thread. So what did he do? He worked hard, and he got himself to where he needed to be, which was getting that scholarship to Division I football. Here's the problem. Even though physically he got himself even better than he had ever been in his life. I mean, he was jumping higher. He was running faster. He was able to make better cuts in every cone drill possible. Didn't matter, because when he went down to the school, and this school really coveted him. They thought he would be amazing because this guy had all the goods. He had the height. He had the long arms. He had the drive. He had everything possible. The speed. This guy had the know-how. He was super smart. However, he was so overwhelmed when he got down there because he put it in his mind that he had to fail and fail and fail. And there was no telling how many times he had to fail in order to succeed. But he had to fail first. And he had to fail to such a point where he finally believed in himself to say, hey, I got to wake up. If I wake up, then I can do this. One problem was that when he was down there, he was only given one chance. And so when that chance was up, he and I worked together to figure out, okay, what are these issues? Oh, well, all right. This is coming from lack of a father figure in your life. You didn't have the know-how to do certain things, to behave in certain ways when it comes to going after your goal with drive. So once we fixed that, man, he went back down there and said, look, you've got to give me another shot. This is who I really am, and I don't need to fail anymore. That was it. Stardom. He went and has led an amazing life on and off the field. Now in business, amazing. That all happened because he got rid of the belief systems that weren't serving him a good purpose. And you can do the same. You have these belief systems, which, probably do. We all have these belief systems, and they don't always serve us a good purpose. So get rid of it right away. You can get rid of it by using any kind of different techniques or modalities. Personally, what I do for my people is I integrate the best ones that they need. They may not need all 16, that's great, but I will integrate exactly what they need at the right time, because of course timing is important. Anybody who has ever read a recipe knows there's a timing to everything. You add in certain things at certain times, and life is just like that. When you put things into proper perspective, at the proper order and timing, then things just kind of fall into place exactly where they need to be. And life is a hell of a lot easier. Don't you find that? I know I do. Because you can have the best idea, but if the timing is off, if the company that you want to bring this idea to is not ready to hear it, doesn't matter how great it is for them. They're just not ready to listen. And so therefore, you're going to have to either wait or go to somebody else who will listen. Somebody who's ready to listen. Somebody who's ready to move forward with your idea. Sometimes that takes, 1 or 2 times. Other times it can take, over 1,000. Think about it. How many people will apply for jobs and apply, over 100 times, over 200 times, maybe even over 1,000 times? Look at some of the people who have built legacies, right? The Colonel, when it comes to KFC, right? He got so many no's. I mean, over 1,000 no's. I mean, this is a guy in his 50s who just got his first check, his first government check, and he had to decide, what, is this really worth it? For him, it was. And that's what he built. He built a huge legacy that allowed him to not only retire in comfort, to be remembered even to this day. Think about what these patterns do, right? These belief systems, if they don't get you to where you really want to be, that means that they're holding you back. So why would you let something like that hold you back? I mean, you're a high achiever. You want to go after your goal with gusto. If you're somebody who has a hard time changing gears, changing lanes, anything that has to do with, well, I just want to keep going in a straight line and I don't care if I hit wall after wall, eventually I'm going to get there. Well, that might be the case, but is that really the best way to get there? That's what you have to ask yourself. If it is, all right. Look at Starbucks. They got a ton of no's from the banks until they finally got a yes. However, maybe you need to pivot your thinking in order to get yourself to your goal faster. So maybe it's a belief system that's actually stopping you, holding you back, right? Reining you in. If that's the case, then you have to look at, all right, now, is what I'm doing what's right for me? Does it feel right? And if it does, then you may need to look a little bit deeper. Why? Is it because you like to fail? Some people are just geared, they love to fail because that is their goal. They're too afraid for a higher vibrational success, and therefore they go into it with, okay, I'm going to fail, and it's okay that I fail because that is my goal. I am successful when I fail. If that's your bottom line, then you will be successful, just not at a higher vibrational level, and those higher vibrational things that you really, really want are just drawn down and killed because of all these other things that are even more important to you on a deeper level. And maybe it's in your subconscious, right? Maybe it's something that you learned from a parent. Maybe it's something that you learned from a friend. Who knows what it was from? Sometimes you can find that out. Things like modalities like body talk and the UN method, they can find those out for you. When you find the root causes, that's what's really important. Always looking for the root cause, because if you don't pull the weed out by the root, what happens? You know exactly what happens, right? Now, Braylin, she was a huge cheerleader. She was a cheerleader for everybody. And even though that sounds great, and that's exactly what people need, others like her, so that her high energy can go into other people and help them out, right? They can use that high energy themselves from Braylin, and this will help them. That's okay. Here's the problem with that. It wasn't coming at a high enough vibrational level, meaning that it was coming from a source of fear from Braylin, and that was not being accepted by other people, because on a subconscious level, they could definitely feel that, hey, this is coming from a fear base. We don't want anything from a fear base. We want something to come from confidence, right? Something from a higher vibrational level. So every time that Braylin tried to get close to people, anybody, it was really off-putting. And she couldn't figure out why. Like, why do people take so long to connect with me? Why is it that people take so long to get close enough to me? It was all because her cheerleading was done out of fear, because she was looking for acceptance from other people rather than trying to help them out. So she was being a vampire without even knowing it. Not her fault. However, when that was happening, she found herself more and more alone. By getting rid of that fear and embracing her confidence, her self-worth, then her self-respect in that order, she was able to figure out for herself, aha, this is exactly what I need to do in order to allow people to come into my life, and for me to enter other people's life on a higher vibrational level, or on a happier level, on a level that will help others as well as help me, and we can have a nice congruent relationship. Sometimes people have this belief system that if I help others, they'll most definitely help me back because I'm a good person, and they'll just naturally want to gravitate towards me. And that might be the case for some people, but going into it with that kind of attitude where if I give, I'm expected back, and that's very selfish, right? How selfish can that be? And how far are you going to get? Not very far. Not very far at all. When that happened to Ian, it rocked his world. He was like, what's going on? I'm so nice to people. Why isn't everybody coming towards me? He was expecting 100% to follow him just because he was being nice. What good is that? You have to allow people to do what they want to do, and for those who agree with that vibration and come to you, then wonderful. But going into it with that kind of expectation, you're going to find yourself disappointed every single time, leaving you feeling like an empty shell. When we do things for people, that belief system has got to be to let it go and just do it for the sake of doing it. Doing it for the sake of helping others, something on a nice high vibrational level. The more we give like that, then some people will want to gravitate towards you, and that's all right. What you want to do is give without expecting anything in return. When you do that, life is so much simpler. You have a lot more fun opportunities coming to you, and hey, why not just enjoy life a little bit more? This will definitely help you do it. Whether you're leading your team to championship victory or you're leading your company to that next step of a merger or the next step in growth, you're going to want to make sure that your patterns and your beliefs are incongruent with everybody else so that everybody's on the same page for growing, for achieving that goal, for the same reason or reasons. Dom was no different. Dom wanted the best. He wanted so many championships in his sport, but he knew that in order to lead his team, everybody had to believe. And so he had to respect everyone. Everybody had to respect him. And everybody had to be on the same page where if we're going to do this, this is all going to happen because everybody is together on one goal. Not everybody has to be at the same level of ability, but everybody has to buy into doing their job, doing what needs to happen. And by doing that, Dom had a legacy of championships for him, not only himself, but for his teams, every team that he was on. How awesome is that? How great of a feeling is that? Whether you're running a business or a team, you want that congruency because it makes life so much easier. You don't have to fight everyone, everything. Get rid of most of that friction. Save that friction for when you're dealing with your opponents. And remember, getting rid of these belief systems that don't serve you anymore, that can be done easily. Whether you're using the body talk system or you're using the Ewan method or something else, something that integrates different things, get it done now. The easier your life will be in the very near future. Thank you for joining our show.